What if the greatest spiritual teacher you'll ever meet isn't a master in a monastery, but the aches and pains in your own body? We spend our lives running from sickness, fearing its arrival. But what if, in our running, we've been fleeing the very wisdom we desperately seek? Our world tells us that strength is about fighting, resisting, and overcoming illness at all costs. But the deepest Buddhist teachings reveal a different, more profound kind of strength, one found not in the battle against illness, but in the gentle surrender to it. This isn't about giving up. It's about finally waking up. Imagine an ancient, gnarled tree, bent and shaped by years of wind and weather. We don't see it as broken. We see it as wise, beautiful, and full of character. Why, then, do we not see our own aging, ailing bodies with that same reverence? Today, we explore how the Dharma teaches us to find that same profound beauty and wisdom in our own frailty. Have you ever considered that sickness, especially in the quiet autumn of our years, is not simply a curse to be endured, but a hidden teacher arriving in disguise? Most of us recoil from illness. We fear it, we fight it, we resist it with every fiber of our being. We see it as an enemy, an intruder standing in the way of our happiness. But what if illness is not an intruder, but a messenger carrying a sacred truth? What if, in the undeniable weakness of the body, the deepest wisdom of life is finally whispering to us, asking us to listen? The Buddha himself reminded us, again and again, that sickness, aging, and death are not exceptions. They are inevitable parts of the human experience. No matter how strong, beautiful, or youthful we once were, the body, like all things in nature, eventually bends toward frailty. Yet, in this very bending, there lies a profound invitation, an invitation to see clearly, to soften our resistance, to finally awaken. In this video, we will explore how to embrace sickness in old age through the compassionate lens of the Dharma. By the end of our journey together, you will begin to see illness not just as a challenge to be overcome, but as a wise teacher of impermanence, a revealer of profound truth, and a sacred doorway to compassion and freedom. We will move step by step on this gentle path. First, we will come to understand sickness as a living lesson in impermanence. Then, we will see how illness can liberate us by helping us to let go of the exhausting illusion of control. We will look deeply at patience and compassion and discover how our own fragility can open the heart in ways we never imagined. Stay with me and let us walk gently into this exploration together. 1. The mirror of impermanence. Sickness, in its raw honesty, holds up a mirror to our face, a mirror we often spend our entire lives avoiding, and in its reflection, we see the undeniable, universal truth of impermanence. Anicca, all things arise, endure for a time, and then pass away. This is not a pessimistic belief, but a fundamental law of nature, as real as gravity. When we are young and healthy, this truth feels distant, almost theoretical. The body moves with a vibrant energy, and we can easily mistake this temporary vitality for permanence. We live as if we have forever, but in old age, sickness makes impermanence intensely personal and visible in every breath. The Dharma teaches us that the root of so much of our suffering is our resistance to this natural flow. We cling desperately to health, to youth, to the memory of how things used to be. When illness arrives, we might cry out, "Why me?" or "Why now?" But the deeper, more freeing question the Dharma asks us is, "Why not me? Why not now?" For the truth is that all bodies, without exception, must change. When we begin to recognize sickness as simply impermanence in action, something inside of us softens. The fear begins to lessen its grip. We start to see that this body is like a beautiful, temporary guest house. We are its caretaker for a time, but not its permanent owner. Visitors come and go, pain arrives, weakness visits, but they also change, shift, and, in time, they too will pass. Instead of despairing, we can turn sickness into a profound contemplation. Each symptom, each new limitation becomes an invitation to observe the transient nature of all things. The ache in a joint becomes like a temple bell, ringing gently, reminding us, do not cling, do not resist, all is passing. In this way, sickness evolves from a condition to be endured into the lesson to be learned. We no longer hide from impermanence. We learn to bow to it, and in that bow of acceptance, we discover a strange and wonderful freedom, too, the liberation of letting go of control. For most of our lives, we operate under the powerful illusion that we are in control. We are the masters of our destiny, the captains of our ship. We plan, we schedule, we manage, and we believe that through sheer force of will, we can command our bodies to obey our every command. Illness in old age, gently but firmly, dismantles this illusion. When sickness arrives, even the simplest acts we once took for granted, standing up, walking across a room, eating a meal, may no longer be under our direct command. The mind wants the body to be strong and reliable, but the body begins to follow its own natural, unfolding path. At first, this loss of control can feel like a devastating defeat. It can feel like failure, but within the wisdom of the Dharma, it is actually a profound liberation. Why? Because the idea that we were ever truly in control was always just that, an illusion. Think about it. Your heart beats, your lungs breathe, your cells repair themselves. Not because you command them to, but because the right conditions are present to support them. From the moment of your birth until now, this body has never been something you could fully govern. Sickness simply makes this undeniable truth impossible to ignore. When we finally release the exhausting burden of trying to control the uncontrollable, our suffering lightens immensely. We stop fighting a battle that can never be won. We begin to rest in acceptance. And let us be clear, acceptance is not the same as passive resignation. It is not giving up. It is the courageous act of seeing reality clearly and meeting it with a peaceful heart. In old age, letting go of control allows us to flow like water around the rocks in a stream. We cannot move the mountain of our condition, but we can learn to move gracefully with it. Instead of shouting at reality, "This should not be happening," we learn to whisper, "This, too, belongs." Through illness, the Dharma gently guides us to surrender. Not a surrender born of despair, but one born of deep trust, trust in the natural rhythm of life, and trust that the core of our being, our awareness itself, remains perfectly whole and untouched, even as the body changes. 3. The slow, deep teaching of patience. In a world that screams for speed, for efficiency, for instant results, illness whispers a radical teaching. Slow down. The body no longer responds with the quickness it once did. Walking becomes a more deliberate meditation. Eating may take longer. Sleep might be light or restless. At first, this forced slowing can feel intensely frustrating. We may remember how quickly we once climbed a flight of stairs or how easily we once digested a meal. And we may grieve for the days that are gone. But right here, in this slowness, lies one of the most hidden and precious gifts of sickness. It becomes our personal, live-in teacher of patience. Patience in Buddhism is not merely waiting for something to be over. It is the deep, courageous willingness to be fully present with what is, exactly as it is, without irritation, without grasping for something else, without pushing it away. Sickness poses the ultimate questions to our heart. Can you sit with this discomfort? Without reacting in anger, can you breathe with this pain? Without falling into despair, can you accept this slowness? Without fighting against it? These are not small questions. They go to the very heart of spiritual practice. When the body aches, impatience can arise like a fire. I want this pain to stop. I want my old body back. But this impatience only doubles our suffering. First, there is the physical pain of the body. Then, there is the second, often greater pain, the mental pain of our minds struggling against reality. Patience is the cooling water that extinguishes the fire of this second pain. When we meet our illness with patience, the mind softens. We can say to ourselves, "This is how the body feels right now. It is a sensation. It is not a punishment. It is simply nature unfolding." The Buddha often described patience as a form of profound strength. It is not a passive endurance. It is an active, compassionate openness. Imagine a great tree standing through all seasons, in raging storms, in heavy snow, in blazing summer heat. The tree does not fight each change. It simply stands, deeply rooted in the earth, allowing all conditions to pass over and through it. In the same way, patience allows us to stay rooted in our awareness while the weather of sickness moves through us. In this way, illness becomes not just a limitation, but a profound training ground for the heart. 4. The opening of the compassionate heart. As sickness humbles the body, it performs a sacred alchemy on the heart. It softens it. When we are young and strong, it is easy to feel independent, even invincible. But illness in old age gently strips away the armor of pride and reminds us of our own delicate fragility. And in this shared fragility, compassion naturally arises. First, and most importantly, compassion for ourselves. All too often, we are our own harshest critics. When illness comes, we may blame ourselves. Why didn't I take better care of my health? Why can't I be stronger and just push through this weakness? But self-blame is a poison that only deepens our suffering. The Dharma invites us, instead, to hold ourselves as gently as a loving mother would hold a crying child. Self-compassion does not mean indulging in self-pity. It means recognizing our own pain with kindness. It means saying inwardly, with genuine tenderness, "This is hard. This body is suffering. May I meet this experience with kindness." When we learn to comfort ourselves in this way, the heart relaxes, the inner battle ceases. Instead of fighting the illness, we learn to cradle our experience with care, and as we soften toward ourselves, something truly beautiful and miraculous happens. That compassion naturally extends outward to others. When we feel our own frailty, we suddenly see the frailty in all beings. We realize, on a gut level, that everyone suffers, everyone struggles with their body at some point in their life. Illness erases the powerful illusion that we are separate. Think of the millions of people, right at this very moment, lying in hospital beds, sitting at home in pain, or grieving the loss of their health. When we recognize our shared vulnerability, compassion grows like a great river, flowing beyond the narrow boundaries of me and mine. This compassion transforms sickness from an experience of isolation into one of deep connection. Instead of feeling trapped and alone in our suffering, we realize, "I am not alone. This pain is part of the human experience. Others walk this path, too." Through compassion, sickness in old age becomes not a closing down of the heart, but a radical opening. We learn to treat our own suffering with tenderness, and through that tenderness, we recognize the universal suffering of all beings. In this recognition, illness becomes not just a personal burden, it becomes the doorway to deep connection, kindness, and love. 5. The precious gift of the present moment. Illness, especially in our later years, is a constant, unwavering reminder that life is fragile and time is precious. When we are healthy, we often move through our days on autopilot, always looking ahead, always chasing the next task, the next desire, the next plan. We take tomorrow for granted, assuming we will always have an endless supply of more time. But when sickness arises, tomorrow is no longer a certainty. Even the next hour can feel uncertain. And in this raw vulnerability, the present moment begins to shine more brightly than ever before. The Dharma teaches that mindfulness, the deep, non-judgmental awareness of the present moment, is the direct path to liberation. Illness, in its own challenging way, gives us the perfect opportunity to practice this directly. When the body is weak, our world may become smaller in scope, but it can become infinitely deeper in meaning. Simple, ordinary acts become sacred rituals. Consider a single sip of warm tea. In our youth, we might drink it quickly, barely tasting it, our mind already on the next thing. But in sickness, when energy is low, that one sip can feel like a profound medicine. If we pay full attention, we can notice the warmth as it moves through the body, the gentle fragrance of the steam, the quiet comfort it brings. Suddenly, a cup of tea is not just a cup of tea. It is a gift. It is a universe of sensation. The same becomes true for the sound of birds singing outside the window, the feeling of sunlight on the skin, or the kindness in a loved one's voice. Illness may narrow the physical world, but it can sharpen our awareness of what remains, and what remains is often profoundly, heartbreakingly beautiful. This profound appreciation for the simple gift of being alive right now is the doorway to peace. But how do we walk through that door? How do we transform this awareness into an active, moment-to-moment practice, using sickness itself not just as a teacher, but as the very object of our meditation? In our next section, we will explore just that. We left off with the profound discovery that illness, in its unique way, anchors us in the preciousness of the present moment. It strips away our distractions and leaves us with the raw, beautiful gift of now. The question then becomes, how do we live there? How do we find a home in this present moment, especially when it is filled with discomfort? The Buddha gave us the clearest of instructions when he said, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." Sickness makes this teaching not just a piece of advice, but an immediate, lived reality. What we truly have is this breath, right now, this heartbeat, in this moment, this flicker of awareness, observing it all. By cherishing the present, we naturally reduce our own suffering. How? Instead of lamenting what has been lost, our youth, our strength, our former abilities, we shift our focus to what is still here. Right now, the body may be fragile, but awareness is still present and clear. The heart can still feel gratitude. The mind can still awaken to truth. Living in the present also frees us from the tyranny of fear. Fear is a ghost that lives almost exclusively in the future. It whispers terrifying stories. What if my sickness worsens? What if I lose all my independence? What if death is near? These thoughts multiply our suffering, layering mental anguish on top of physical pain. But when we anchor ourselves firmly in the present, we shine a light so bright that the ghost of fear simply vanishes. We see that right now, in this very breath, we are alive. This moment is bearable. This moment, in its simplicity, is enough. Illness teaches us the preciousness of even the smallest joys. Imagine you are holding a delicate, perfect flower that you know will fade by tomorrow. How would you hold it? You would hold it gently. You would savor its color, its fragrance, its beauty. You would treasure it. Illness teaches us to treat each moment of life with this same tender, loving attention. By embracing the present, we transform sickness from a burden into a source of gratitude. Instead of focusing on all the things the body cannot do, we begin to celebrate what it still can. And in this profound presence, we find that joy is possible, even in the midst of weakness. Illness, then, is not only a reminder of impermanence, it is a powerful reminder of the miracle of the present moment. And when we learn to live deeply in the present, sickness ceases to be an obstacle to peace. It becomes the path to peace itself. 6. The deep freedom of recognizing the non-self of the body. Now, we come to one of the most liberating, and perhaps challenging, truths in all of Buddhism, the principle of anatta, or non-self. Illness in old age gives us a direct, undeniable way to understand this profound wisdom. We so easily say, "my body," as if this physical form were a possession. something we truly own and control. But what happens when we look closely, with the eyes of wisdom? This body is made of the elements of the universe: earth, water, fire, and air. Think of it poetically. The solidity of your bones is the earth. The fluid in your veins is the water of ancient rivers. The warmth of your metabolism is the fire of the sun, and the breath you take is the air of the sky. None of these elements truly belong to us. They arise from nature, and they will one day return to nature. In our youth, we may feel that the body is an obedient servant, but in sickness, this illusion gently dissolves. We cannot order the body to heal on our command, nor can we prevent its natural decline. Illness makes clear what has always been true. This body is a process, not a possession. The body is not a fixed, solid self. At first, this idea might sound strange or even bleak, but can you feel the immense freedom hidden within it? If the body is not my true self, then its sickness is not my sickness. It is not a personal failure. It is not an assault on my identity. It is simply the natural process of the elements shifting, changing, and dissolving. Pain arises. Pain passes. Weakness arises. Weakness passes. These are temporary conditions passing through the body, not a permanent stain on who we are. When we cling to the body as me and mine, every illness feels like a personal attack. But when we see the body as non-self, illness is just part of nature unfolding. We no longer need to take it so personally. We can observe it with a spacious calm, saying, "This is the body's condition right now." Awareness remains. The Buddha gave the beautiful example of a cart. A cart is made of parts, wheels, axles, wood. If you take away all the parts, where is the cart? There is no cart, only a collection of pieces. In the same way, this body is a collection of parts, processes, and conditions. It is not a fixed self. It is a flowing, changing event. This realization does not make us indifferent to the body. On the contrary, it allows us to care for it with a peaceful heart. If I am not this body, then its inevitable decline cannot destroy the essence of who I am. Awareness, the knowing, the observing, the spacious presence that is reading these words right now remains untouched. Illness may be like clouds obscuring the body, but your awareness is like the sky, vast, open, and forever beyond harm. 7. Using illness itself as your spiritual practice. Illness, especially in the later years of life, can feel like an unwelcome visitor that takes away our freedom and joy. But for those walking the Dharma path, sickness is not merely an obstacle. It is a profound opportunity. It becomes our living monastery, a wise teacher that follows us into every breath, every movement, and every quiet hour of the night. The Buddha taught that suffering can either harden the heart or awaken it. The difference lies entirely in how we meet it. When we resist illness, when we fight it with anger and despair, we add a second layer of suffering to our physical pain. But when we learn to turn toward it with mindful awareness, illness becomes the very heart of our spiritual path. So how do we do this? Let us bring all this wisdom into a practical, step-by-step guide. First is mindfulness. When a sensation of pain arises, instead of the habitual reaction of, "I hate this," make it stop. We can gently observe it. Ah, here is the sensation of heat. Here is a feeling of pressure. By mindfully naming the sensation, we create a precious space between the feeling and our reaction to it. The body may hurt, but the mind's awareness can remain peaceful and clear. Second is investigation. Illness allows us to become gentle scientists of our own experience. We can observe impermanence directly. A wave of pain may come, last for a few minutes, and then ease. Fatigue may grow heavier in the afternoon, then lighten after a period of rest. If we watch closely, we see that even suffering has no fixed self. It is always shifting, always changing. Third is compassion. In moments of great discomfort, we can place a hand on our heart and silently repeat, "This body is suffering. May I hold it with kindness. May I be gentle with this tired body." Then, as our own heart softens, we can naturally extend that same wish outward. May all beings everywhere who are suffering today be free from their pain. May they find peace. In this way, illness becomes a bridge of empathy, connecting our personal struggle to the universal heart of humanity. Fourth is patience. As we've discussed, illness slows everything down. A simple act like getting out of bed can become a major undertaking. Instead of meeting this with frustration, it can be an invitation. Can I move slowly, mindfully, with care? Can I allow this simple task to be a meditation in itself? And finally, the fifth step is surrender. Illness reminds us, again and again, that our control is limited. Surrender is not weakness. It is the ultimate strength. It is the wisdom to stop fighting against the current of reality and instead learn to float with it. It means saying, "This too belongs. I do not need to fight it. I can rest in what is." When we practice in this way, illness becomes our sacred training ground for the ultimate transition, death itself. If we can meet the discomforts of sickness with awareness, compassion, and surrender, we are already preparing for our final moment with peace and dignity. And so we see, as we come to the end of this reflection, that illness in old age is not just a burden. It is a teacher, a mirror, and a profound guide. Through it, we learn the truth of impermanence. We practice the strength of patience. We discover the boundless heart of compassion. We realize the deep freedom of non-self. And most of all, we see that even in our greatest weakness, the heart can rest in awareness, completely free and unshaken. If you are living with illness as your companion right now, please hear this. You are not alone. You are a warrior of the heart, walking a path that millions have walked before you. May you treat yourself with infinite gentleness. May you breathe with patience. And may you discover the profound peace that this very experience can point you toward. And if you are not yet ill, please do not turn away from these teachings. Contemplate them now, so that when sickness eventually comes, as it will for all of us, you will be ready to meet it not with fear, but with calm, courageous wisdom. If these words have brought you a measure of comfort or a new perspective, I warmly invite you to subscribe and join our community. Here, we walk this path of wisdom together, supporting one another along the way. May you be well, may you be free from suffering, and may all beings everywhere, in all states of health, awaken to the boundless peace that lies within.